SwoleBenji here. So today I'm going to talk about the purpose and the main uses of every single item that you can equip in the game. Well, for the most part, every single item. Not absolutely every single item, but every main item, like every main armor, every main weapon. Now, this is mostly like a podcast style video. I'm not going to be showcasing or cutting or doing any editing. It's just me on the test realm. You can go to the test realm too and try out all the weapons at tier 8 at max spec. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what the purpose of every item is and why players choose to use that item. Okay, so starting with the Elder's Dagger, right? The main use of the Elder's Dagger, or the dagger, the one-handed dagger, is to do high amounts of damage very quickly to a single target with fast attacks. It's usually paired with a hunter's jacket and a torch. And that's pretty much it. The dagger pair is used in PvP for one-shot mechanics. It's also used for very high burst. The claws are mostly used by gankers to catch and hold the player while it does very high damage, and also bleeds the target. Mostly gankers use this. There's not really much use in PvE for this. The Bloodletter is used to finish off opponents that are around 40% HP. It's used in ganking. It's used in group PvP. It's got a lot of PvP use. The Black Hands is mostly used in 1 versus 1 corrupted dungeons to kill other players and dispel their items. It's pretty good. It can be countered, but it's got a high win rate. So if you like to do corrupteds, you can do Black Hands, except enjoy the slow clear times. Death Givers is another way to gank players and kind of sort of escape, because it gives you some stealth options. It's used mostly to counter certain builds in corrupted dungeons currently. You don't see too many gankers with it because it doesn't have any chase. The Bridled Fury is actually the best PvE weapon for daggers. This is what you want to use to clear. You can solo corrupted dungeons. I don't know about bosses, but I know you can clear the mobs. You can solo. You can solo group dungeons with the Bridled Fury. So spears are mostly used to counter sword users in 1v1s. Spears are also semi-used in gank or catch sets to dispel people that try to run away. The spear itself is also used by PvE players for solo dungeons with a decent clear speed. The pike is used as a PvP ganker or one-shot mechanic where you root someone into a demon cape and kill them. The glaive, what does this one do again? Oh, the glaive is for combating fishing bots mostly. You can use this to fling the fishing bots away from their fishing ponds and displace them into mobs and then get them killed. It's also used by gankers, of course, but the main use is to fuck with bots. The Huron's Spear is mostly used in PvE and Zerg versus Zerg. Alright, so the Huron's Spear, you do the spear throw and it stuns people. That's just one of the many options for it. It's pretty good if you like spears. Spirit Hunter is used in PvE as one of the fastest clearing PvE spears. You also throw a spear, and this can one-shot you in ZVZ. If you are being buffed by an Arcane staff user with this, and you hit enough players in a Zerg vs. Zerg, they will melt. They will lose 3,000 HP within seconds from this. Okay? I don't know if it was nerfed, but that was the main point. Trinity Spear is great for arenas. It's also pretty good in corrupted dungeons. It's usually mostly to just buff your allies so they can attack faster. You see it a lot in Hellgates as well. The Daybreaker, I don't really know too much about this. I assume it's used in Zerg vs. Zerg. I honestly haven't seen anyone use a Daybreaker in a very long time. I think Daybreaker is just everything that the regular spear is, but better. So, if you can afford it, just go with the Daybreaker instead. Alright, so the Battle Axe is primarily used in 1 versus 1s. It's also used in dual scams. It's mostly used to have near infinite sustain. It was originally used to solo farm aspects, which are giant monsters that have a ton of resources when you kill them. So that's the main use of Battle Axe. It doesn't have much other use. The Great Axe, which is the Hand of Kor at tier 8, It's primarily used to solo clear dungeons. It's also the fastest way to clear the holiday-themed dungeons, like the Halloween dungeon. You want to use a Great Axe because it'll just clean sweep all of the trash mobs. Other than that, it's not really used much. It has some PvP uses. There's a couple one-shot builds with it. But Halberd is generally your better choice for PvP axes. This is used in Zerg vs. Zerg. It's used in arenas. It's used in dungeon diving groups. It's all around a really good weapon. The Carrion Collar is also used in the same regard, but for a ranged bleed debuff, because you want to stack as many debuffs on your enemy's clan as possible. The Infernal Sith is also mostly used for PvE. It's not as good as it used to be. I would say it's higher burst, but you don't really see a lot of it anymore. The Bear Paws is great for arenas. It's great for solo dungeon clearing. It's great for 1 vs. 1s. It's great for escaping. And the ultimate use for the Bear Paws is ratting corrupted dungeons. This is the go-to end-all be-all ratting tool. If you want to do corrupted dungeons in a tier 5.1, and I'm talking the Slayer kind, where people can come at you with 8.3, you put these bad boys on and a run set, and as long as you're not sloppy, you won't die. The Realm Breaker is found a new meta recently in Zerg vs. Zerg. It's also really good for PvP now because of the buff, where it lowers the enemy's health by 30% flat, and that is pretty good stuff. The Broadsword is used in small skirmish arena. It's also used in group dungeon dive sets. It's used as a tanking item for solo players. It's an all-around good weapon. It was recently nerfed, but people still sometimes use it, and beware the sword users, they can kick your ass. I'm just saying, the Claymore is mostly for your 1 vs. 1. It's also for dungeon diving solos. The Claymore is the bigger choice because it has invincibility frames in it where they can activate their Claymore and become immune for a very small short time, and they won't take any damage. The dual swords are probably the best weapons for group dungeon diving. Okay, they're very highly mobile, they do decent damage, and sword users in general are just faster and harder to kill, which makes these the perfect dungeon diving items. If you want a PvE solo dungeons, then the Clearant Blade is the weapon for you. This weapon here is what you will absolutely be using to speed clear solo dungeons if you wanted to go swords. Now, for the all-around roaming world PvP style playstyle where you just go to like Red Tree Enclave and you just go out into the Black Zone and start picking fights with people, this is the weapon for you because it gives you a decent burst, it gives you mobility, it lowers their armor, allowing you to burst harder, and it's a sword, so of course it's hard to kill. The Galantine Pair is one of the de facto go-to, I just blew up the enemy raid weapons, okay? You go invisible and you go deep into the enemy's cluster where everyone's in the back, of the Zerg versus Zerg, getting some heals, and you unleash this bad boy and you're just going to kill like 20 people. This is a nuclear bomb in terms of attacks. The Kingmaker is pretty good for bullying dungeons in the yellow zone. This was originally going to be my choice of bully weapon. It just looks fucking cool as shit, dude. Look, like, if you want to be the cool guy, if you just want to be a fucking cool... Look at this! Dude, who doesn't like this? This is the coolest weapon in the game, and that alone should be a reason to fucking use this motherfucker. It's so cool. It's just the coolest weapon in the game. That's all you need to know, really. It's just the coolest weapon. There's nothing cooler. But no, it's pretty good. It does decent damage, and it knocks a bunch of people up. You can set up some combos in some small-scale PvP. It might be good in Arena. I have never seen anyone actually pull it off, though. The Quarterstaff is the group ganking or transport hunting weapon, and this weapon is what you want to use if you want to stun lock people. If you like rogues in World of Warcraft, then this would be your weapon. You just run up and you hit them. You have like 3 different stuns you can use. Your E-attack also separates the enemy's friends away from them so that they're singled out. It's an all-around really good weapon. The Ironclad Staff, let me just get a refresher. This one is used in a meme video where the guy whirlwinds into a group of Zergs and he mows the lawn, so to speak. Other than that, it doesn't have much of a use. I have seen the Ironclad staff used by a few streamers where they go into a very dangerous dungeon area and they knock enemy players into the mobs so the mobs will kill them. But other than that, I've never really seen a use for this weapon. The double-bladed staff is the go-to skip set item. It's the run away from danger item. It's also the catch up to people you're trying to murder item. It has probably my favorite and highest mobility in the game. Some people will say that the Bloodletter has that, but I think it's the double-bladed staff. Now, the Monk staff is kind of a meme in arenas. It pretty much makes people completely powerless if they stand in the circle. I haven't really seen it used anywhere else. The Soul Scythe, whatever you want to call it. This weapon is one of my favorite staffs. It shoots a big-ass tornado, which not only slows the player, it knocks the player up into the sky, and then they have to land back down. And this is my favorite weapon to combo with the Demon Cape, because while they're in the air, they can't activate any items because they're airborne, which means they take most of the damage from the Demon Cape over other items, besides being stunned, of course, but you can always cleanse a stun. So Soul Scythe is probably my favorite for just that. And in general, you shoot it at them. So the Staff of Balance, I've never seen this used anywhere. I've not seen it in Zerg vs. Zergs in arenas. I mean, I've seen it, but it's done fuck all. It's a pretty useless item. Probably one of the most useless items in the game is the Staff of Balance. So this weapon can just fuck off and kill itself, okay? Now, the Elder's Grail Seeker, this is kind of a meme, you know? It shields your friends. I've seen it in Zerg vs. Zerg, but I've never seen it truly used. I think I'm just gonna do a little. I'm gonna throw a prediction out here. Okay, this is just my little prediction, right? You get a Grail Seeker, you know, because it gives you the shield. You get the new Guardian helmet, and you get the Night Boots, and you have 3 damage shields. And I think that might be a build that might work. The Hammer is a PvE tank item. That's pretty much it. You can stun lock people with it in arena, but there's better options. It's honestly just kind of a you got to spec it up if you're going to be a main tank, and that's really it. The Pole Hammer, same deal. There's better two-handed like maces here. Like it's just an AoE stun and does some damage. There's really nothing special about it. Now the Great Hammer, one of my favorite YouTubers uses the Great Hammer. And it's been nerfed. It's been changed, so he can't do it anymore. But used to, you would use heavy smash. I think it's called heavy cleave now. And you would just murder people with this. This is one of the highest damage items that you could, like one of the highest non-special attack things you could use in the entire game, right? But other than that, the E it's really good. It's kind of like the Carving Sword, but you stun people. Now, the problem with this is it has a high cooldown, 15 seconds. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's a really useful to stun a line of people, and in a group PvP situation, this is the weapon you want to have on your team. Tomb Hammer is currently used in the 1v1 meta for corrupted dungeons. It was recently nerfed a day ago, so this weapon is probably useless now. I have never used it. It just range stuns a target. You can AoE stun technically, but in Corrupted, it's 1v1. Forge Hammers makes you tanky, but honestly, I think it's only used in like hardcore expeditions. I don't even know because I've never done a hardcore expedition, and I've only seen a few videos on them, and the meta always changes on that stuff anyway. So as far as Forge Hammers go, they do make your auto attacks pretty good, so if you run an auto attack based build, I think that you would find some use in it, but I've never seen Forge Hammers do good anywhere. The Grove Keeper is really neat. This is known by some YouTubers as the Poglog, and this lets you jump around. It has very high mobility. It's very tanky. All in all, it's one of the better polearm weapons to use. Maces, rather. Hammers, I'm sorry. It's a hammer. This item here it's absolutely fun to play. You look like an absolute baller carrying it around. You just look like a big, chunky wood-holding boy. I mean, look at this. You're literally a battering ram guy. Like, you're gonna ram down someone's door and, you know, take their wife or something away from them. It's really a cool weapon. It's very expensive, unfortunately. Now, the Hand of Justice, this is another one where it shields you and you can heal from the auto attacks. I've seen it used pretty good. It gives you a spin. No, this is the spin weapon, yeah, isn't it? Pretty sure this is the spin weapon. Yeah, this is the spin weapon. You can group a bunch of people up and then drop a meteor on them. It's for group PvP, the Hand of Justice, group PvP, the regular mace. This is one of the best tank weapons ever. It's not the best tank weapon, it's the best all-around tank weapon, in my opinion. It's a one-handed weapon. It gives you very good stats. When you have this thing maxed out and max spec, it gives you so much HP. Like, let me just put an 8.3 on. Take that off. 1,200 HP. We're at 1,766, and we can put a taproot and get even tankier. Guys, it's really good. It's high mobility. It lets you jump. You can have another jump. This is the weapon you want to use for crowd control. It's absolutely annoying in arenas and group PvP. If there's a mace user nearby, like if you're in a red zone and you're flagged or they're flagged and they have a mace, just don't even dismount. Don't even bother, because this guy will just hold you down and have his way with you, okay? The heavy mace isn't as good. It's one of those weapons you just kind of fame up to be able to use the regular mace better. There's not too much use in the heavy mace. The Morning Star is kind of the same thing, you know. It's not really super specialized. The Bedrock mace is mostly used to push yellow zone players into red zones while they are AFK. It's also used in arena to knock people off the point and be really annoying. The Incubus mace is the go-to de facto PvE tank weapon of choice. This thing will shrink your enemies, lowering their max HP and their damage that they deal. It's used in hardcore expeditions, it's used in raids, it's used in everything that is PvE related. So if you're a tank, this is the weapon that you want to fame up first, is the Incubus mace right here. All my tank chads, leave a comment saying if you're a tank chad. I started this game as a tank chad lumberjack, and unfortunately I didn't have people to play with anymore, so I stopped bothering to tank. The Camland mace is the go-to tank weapon for Zerg versus Zerg, because you throw your E, it's a ranged attack at a target, and it will like vacuum everyone else into that target that's nearby, and then kind of hold them there for a second. It's so damn annoying to deal with. If you want to be the annoying guy in a Zerg versus Zerg, put this on, and everyone will respect and fear you for it. The Oath Keepers are the ones that give you the damn shield and the auto attack heal that I was talking about earlier. But you know, I'm not too into this stuff. These they make you have a very high sustain. If you're 1v1ing someone in just a man fight where you're just slugging it out and not dancing around or running away or anything stupid or silly like that, this is the go-to weapon that you would want for that, assuming they aren't Nature Staff or Black Hands or a myriad of other counters. It's a fun weapon, but I don't really see the use for it, okay? The bow is one of the highest DPS weapons for single targets in the game. It's, well, sustained DPS, okay? Like, the Frost Staff does out DPS it for PvE, but the bow, it never stops. It never quits. You can just shoot and shoot and shoot. And if you have a max stack of the bow charged up and you fight someone in a corrupted, you can just machine gun them down, and there's nothing they could really do about it except purge you or reflect or go invulnerable or run away. The bow, all bows are very highly mobile. Now the war bow, this is kind of the most annoying weapon in the game to fight, probably besides the Nature Staffs. The war bow is used to whittle your opponent down from a distance with nice chunky damage. The only thing is you have to land your skill shots, and that kind of sucks, but the warbow, if you fight a good warbow player anywhere, it's a fucking pain in the ass, man. And in Zerg vs. Zerg, if you're just a random tag-along that's not really in their Discord or in their raid groups, you can just fire some laser beams out and see how many kills you get. It's basically just a weapon you just shoot in the direction of the enemy and hope something sticks. The longbow is, it's okay. It's got some AoE for PvE. It's not really the best. This is a weapon that you just fame up to make others stronger. You don't really focus on it. It doesn't really have much of a purpose. I've seen a lot of Asian skinners use this weapon for some reason, but the regular bow is better for skinning than this one. The Whispering Bow is basically a more expensive version of the regular bow that makes you more vulnerable for very slightly more damage. Overall, it's too expensive, and because it makes you more vulnerable, and it's also purgeable. The bow is just overall better, but this does slightly more damage than the bow. The Wailing Bow is one of the most annoying things you can also fight in a Zerg vs. Zerg, as this shoots out a death arrow that will just cleave an entire screen of people and kill everybody. It's extremely annoying to deal with because for most PCs, the image of the arrow won't load in time. It doesn't make a loud noise, you know? So you're just walking along in your Zerg versus Zerg, and suddenly you're dead, and you check your kill feed, and you were killed by this thing. The Bow of Badon is a lightning AoE attack bow that also silences the target and dots them. And combined with the bow's Q, which is a knockback, you can keep someone in that circle even longer now, which was a really dumb thing for the devs to do. Hey, there's someone else on the test run with me. This weapon is also used to solo group dungeons. It's used to speed clear solo dungeons as well. It's an all-around really good weapon for PvE and PvP. He's speaking Russian. I can't speak Russian, unfortunately. I can say Dies Volt, and that's about it. I think that means go with God. Alright, so Elder's Mist Piercer. This is another siege weapon for Zerg versus Zerg. It's also good for PvE. You basically shoot 3 large laser beams at the enemy, and you can get some kills with it, but all in all, the Bow of Badon's better, and the Wailing Bow is even better than that. The Crossbow is used to one-shot players very sneakily. It's also used to chunk people in Arena. For ganking and other things, if you go invisible and someone rides close to you, you could maybe snipe them off your mount, or their mount, but other than that, it's okay. The heavy crossbow is more utility than damage. It's mostly used in Zerg versus Zergs to silence a group of casters if you manage to push into their caster line. The light crossbow is all around decent for 1v1 corrupteds. It's decent for solo dungeons. It's also faster if you pair it with an 8.3 Crypt Candle and also the Burning Spectre Jacket. Yes, that thing. I haven't played in a while. So yeah, it is pretty good. It's a really good crossbow. Now the Weeping Repeater puts a mine on the ground. It's actually really good in Hellgates. Hellgates allow you to mine off areas, and it's really annoying to fight, apparently. I've never actually dealt with someone that knew how to use this thing, but I have stepped on one of these in a Zerg versus Zerg, and holy crap, does it do a lot of damage. Boltcasters are for starting players who want to deal the most damage possible. These are the fastest boss-killing weapons in the game. Essentially, they have extremely high burst damage, and then after that, they do have a small cooldown. They're very good in PvP as well if you can land a silence and the enemy has no way to kill you faster or disable you or knock you back or reflect or go immune. But other than that, they're alright. I recommend every new player start with these because they will make your dungeons go so fast. The Siege Bow is used in Zerg vs. Zergs when you have defenses and healers up, so you can just lay into a cone of enemies in front of you, forcing them back or forcing them to die. They don't do the highest immediate burst damage, but they are a very high AoE sustained damage. In PvE, they pretty much suck, though. The Energy Shaper is basically a shittier siege bow, except it is a straight and narrow laser that goes a little bit further. So if you want to be safer in a Zerg vs. Zerg, you would use the Energy Shaper, but these things are so dang expensive that I don't recommend them. The Cursed Staff is an amazing burst weapon for 1v1s, for PvP. It's great for PvE as well. You can dot up a target and then explode them with a curse, and if you get stacked damage bonuses, this thing can it can explode for over 5,000 damage, which is the highest in the game. This has the highest single attack potential in the game, the Curse Staff. The Great Curse Staff is used mostly in Zerg vs. Zerg to curse a group of enemies so that you can debuff them faster so that your team can sweep in and kill them. The Demonic Staff is, what does this one do again? It's Zerg vs. Zerg shit. I've never seen this used. I've never seen this used anywhere. So, poop. Alright, the Life Curse Staff apparently has some arena use. It has some Zerg vs. Zerg use. I've seen it in PvE. I believe it's used in Hardcore Expeditions somewhat. I don't really know for sure. I would say it's worth leveling up if you're bored and you just want something to do. The Cursed Skull. I've never seen this used anywhere either because... I mean, I'm sure it does a lot of damage, but I don't know where anyone would use this item. I just don't. I've never seen it. I've never seen it used by other players. The Damnation Staff, this used to be like the best thing for skinners, and then they nerfed it, and now it sucks. It's probably used in Zerg vs. Zerg. I've never seen it used. Maybe there's just not enough Curse Staff players in the world to make use of these items. sorry, I don't have the full info. Now, the Shadow Crawler is used in hardcore expeditions. It's used in arena. It's used basically those two. I haven't really seen it used in Zerg vs. Zerg either, just arena and hardcore expeditions. And it just helps you do more damage and stuff. I know that's not exactly why you clicked on the video. Oh, just more damage and stuff. But hey, you do more damage. That's the whole point of hardcore expedition. Do more damage. The Fire Staff is pretty damn good in 1v1 situations in PvE, or PvP if you're like in a dungeon. If you're in a corrupted dungeon, it's a very good weapon. This weapon, unfortunately, being a caster weapon, is only really useful if you have a low ping. My ping is, what is it, 82 right now on corporate internet, and yeah, that's not too bad. If I actually owned a home or an apartment or whatever, then might be lower, but anyway, the Fire Staff, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for PvP. For PvE, I don't really like it much. Vendetta's Wrath, this is the Great Fire Staff, and it is, it's also good for PvE. I've seen people clear pretty fast with it. Not as fast as bolt casters, of course. The Infernal, oh my god, the Infernal Staff. The Infernal Staff is what you want to use if you want to make me mad in a Zerg versus Zerg, because you can catch one player on fire, and then that one player that's on fire runs into a big crowd of you, into a big crowd that you're in, and then they're all on fire, and then they all go running away, and then everyone's just burning, and it keeps, like, it resets. And this item is actually bugged right now. Like, if you ignite an enemy, and then that enemy, for its first explosion, does not ignite another enemy, and then it ignites an enemy after the first explosion, that second enemy then gets the debuff for the full duration, which means it does more damage, because that duration can be reset for as long as the first cast is on that target. So this can be used in PvE if some smarty pants out there can figure out how to abuse that bug, but otherwise it is the Zerg versus Zerg. It's like you cast it once and then you just watch all the kills you get. It's so annoying to deal with. Wear a great helmet and maybe this thing won't kill you. That's my advice. The Wildfire Staff is, it's stupid. There's really no point to use it. I've never seen it used in anything good. The Brimstone Staff is used if you want to go solo a whole bunch of arch people by putting them to sleep with a helmet and then dropping a meteor on top of them. I've never seen it used for anything else. I have seen it used in Zerg vs. Zerg very unsuccessfully with Camland Mace. You group a bunch of people together and you dump a meteor on them. Usually by then they're already dead and you're just overkilling them anyway, so it's kind of pointless to run this. The Blazing Staff is the big fiery tornado. This is your fastest PvE clear weapon for Fire Staff. So if you have to fame this crap up, then you want to start with the Blazing Staff, because this will not kill bosses nearly as fast as bolt casters, but it's up there. It's decent. You know, it's okay. It's not bad. Dawn Song, I've never seen it used anywhere. I've never seen it used in PvE. I've never seen it used in Zerg vs. Zerg or arenas. It might be good. I've tested this out doing my DPS tests, and it doesn't seem to be very good in anything. It's just kind of cool looking, really. If you just want to be a cool fire guy, then maybe you can use the Dawn Song. The Frost Staff now. The Frost Staff is pretty good if you want to catch people. It's also decent for PvE. It's all around. It's all right. Great Frost Staff, same deal. Glacial Staff. If you want to do some Zerg versus Zerg, it's ideal. The Hoarfrost Staff is absolutely dog shit, so there's no reason to use it. The Icicle Staff is also another Zerg versus Zerg utility weapon that I think only a few people in the whole fucking game uses. The Permafrost Prism is the go-to catch gear for gankers, okay? If your gank group doesn't have a Permafrost Prism player in it, then you're doing something wrong. These guys teleport to you from off-screen, and then they hold you down in a frozen little ice cube, and then the friends swoop in and kill you. And that's just the entire point of this build. Who is this player on the Mammoth here? Oh, he's a big boy, isn't he? And isn't a Mammoth either. That's an Ox. Wow. Okay, so where were we? The Chill Howl is one of the best 1v1 weapons for corrupted dungeons. In the case that it allows you to reset fights, and you can basically bait out the enemy until your cooldowns are up every single time. So this is pretty much used in corrupted dungeons. The Arcane Staff is really good for PvE if you double mimic your Q. Other than that, it's I've seen tanks use this. I've seen people in group dungeons use this as their tanking weapon. And it worked. So I'm not going to knock it if it works, man. Great Arcane Staff. Internal error. Excuse me?
All right.
That's weird. Hello? Hello, game? Is my video fucked? That's weird, isn't it? Okay, we did it that time. I think it's because this guy's mass crafting, right? Okay, so time freeze. I've never seen this used anywhere. It might be cool. I've never seen it used. Enigmatic Staff. I don't remember the names, guys. I've seen this used in Zerg vs. Zerg to protect a high-value streamer, but other than that, I don't really see the point because the shield kind of sucks. Not gonna lie. The Witchwork Staff. I know I've seen this one. Oh, yeah, the Black Hole. This one is just used in Zerg vs. Zerg as another debuff to stack because you gotta have a very diverse group of people for Zerg vs. Zerg. And you might as well have, I would rather honestly just have more tanks. I don't see the point, but people like it, so that's what it's used for. I'm just here to deliver you what it's used for. This is used for chase. The Occult Staff, there's in the Avalonian roads, you see this everywhere. It puts down a purple road that makes your allies run faster on it. And it's really useful, guys. It, Malevolent Locust. This one, what does this one do? I've seen it in Zerg vs. Zerg. I've seen this in arenas. This shit is annoying in arenas, especially if you're like a bow user, and there's always bow users in arenas. But you kind of shaft your team, you know, if you're the 5th slot and you're using this. To be honest, I don't know. Like, I've seen it in Zerg vs. Zerg as well, because you want to remove all of your enemies' buffs. The Even Song. Hello? Hello, game?
Good choice.
Oh, no, his crafting... Is that it? His crafting capacity's fucked. We'll give it a sec. Listen, game, I'm gonna craft this. I'm gonna fucking craft. Alright. You know what? I'll craft this one then. Okay. It won't let me craft any. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just have to go into the menu like a troglodyte and look at the ability here, the Dark Sphere, right? This one, I've never seen it used, I guess because it's really expensive and no one's really bothered to fame it up to use, but it might be okay. This is what it does. I'm not going to read it out. You can pause the video and read it for yourself, okay? We're just going over the items here. That's all our purpose is and all this video is for. Alright, so the Holy Staffs. Hey guys, running joke? Holy Staffs? No, I'll talk about it. I was going to do a joke where I'm like, Holy Staff? What's that? That's not in the game. There's no such thing as a Holy Staff. Alright, so the Holy Staffs are used for healing. Obviously, the Holy Staff. Decent healer, the Great Holy Staff. Mostly used for Zerg vs. Zerg. You can use it for arenas. Divine Staff. Not really used that much. I honestly, I've never seen someone use the Divine Staff. The Life Touch Staff, same thing. The Fallen Staff is massively used in arenas. The Redemption Staff, same thing. Used a lot in arenas. The Hallowfall is a really good 1v1 Corrupted Dungeon weapon. You'll see a lot of people use these in Corrupted Dungeons. And that's because I also see it in Arena now, too. It gives you crowd control, gives you knockback, heals, shields, movement. Alright, so Nature Staff. Nature Staff's okay. You see this a lot in arenas as well. I also see this a lot in group dungeons. Great Nature Staff, my favorite for arenas. You run this bad boy, ooh, you're unkillable, man. Great Nature Staff is also amazing for roaming PvP or escaping very large crowds of players trying to kill you when they don't have a counter. But if one guy has a counter, then you're kind of fucked. Wild Staff, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for Zerg vs. Zerg. Druidic Staff is my favorite bully weapon. It's also an amazing weapon for Corrupted Dungeons. It's also my favorite weapon to use in high-stakes gambling with duel requests in town. Whenever some jack-off tries to challenge you to 20 million silver duel, you pop this bad boy on, and they lose. That's just how it is. It was also recently buffed with a lower cooldown, so yay. I don't know why the devs did that. I really don't. Maybe it's their passive-aggressive way of combating the duel scammers. Blight Staff. I haven't seen too much use of Blight Staff, so I can't really comment it. Sorry, guys. Rampant Staff, used in Zerg vs. Zerg, and the Iron Root Staff. I see this thing used all the time in Hellgates, and let me tell you, it's really fucking powerful. So if you're a Hellgate player, if you want to do group like PvP stuff, then you could use the Iron Root on your healer. The shield, it's basically this cheap piece of shit you would throw on just because you need something in that offhand slot. Sarcophagus, again, cheap crap. There's better. If you're like PvE taking your first time and you don't have enough money for a starter set, then you could use this. The Cative Shield, not much use either. The Facebreaker, this is if you're too poor for a Cryptcan or a Muizak. It's got a little bit of tanking properties, but not much. It's really not really worth it. The Astral Aegis is your go-to tanking item. This will allow you to severely reduce the damage that you take, and it's also really good in duels. The Torch is used if you want to have faster auto attacks, which is amazing. This is what I use with the Druidic Staff. The Mist Collar helps your cooldowns. I think this weapon is actually really overrated. If you do the math. It is pretty lackluster. Leering Cane, oh man, this is the meme offhand. This thing right here, this little gesture stick. Oh man, it dramatically increases the time someone is crowd controlled. So it's used in all sorts of one-shot builds, meme builds, builds that hold you down while you melt in the lava builds. I like it. You should use it. The Crypt Candle is the most expensive fucking item in the game. These things go for over 50 million. I don't know why it's not letting me craft. These things are massively, massively expensive. Oh, man. But this is the go-to offhand to maximize the damage you deal with all of your abilities and attacks. The Sacred Scepter is... because I can't fucking craft them right now. It's either the one that increases the amount of healing you do, I think it is, or it's the one that reduces how long you're crowd controlled. It's one of the two, guys. The Diary increases your casting speed. The Eye of Secrets helps you with more mana, and this is a pretty useless item. The Moizak is a shittier version of the Crypt Candle, but it's alright. It's also cheaper, so if you want, you can use it. The Taproot makes you have a larger health pool, but it also makes you receive less healing. So, use this if you want to be a big tanky boy and not get killed as fast. The Celestial Censer, again, this item either lets you heal for more or be crowd controlled for less time. I don't remember. Oh, no. Oh, we crafted it. Okay. Yeah, this is the one that lets you get heal or do more healing, but it lowers your defense. I mean, if you're like a dedicated healer, go for it. But you should probably be using a two-hander. Now we go to the helmets and armor. Soldier helmet. I really like this on the carving sword build. It's my favorite helmet for carving sword for PvP in arenas. It's a free immunity button, basically. The Knight helmet. This one gives you... what does this one do? Oh, yeah. It allows you to not be knocked around. Great Axe users like it, but I haven't really seen much use for it. Guardian helmet's pretty meta right now. It was recently changed to give you a big-ass fucking shield. How much is that shield? How much is that? 1,360. Fucking developers they've lost it. Stillfront, what are you doing? It used to heal for like 300. This gives you 1,368 damage shield for 3 seconds. That's fucking retarded. That's stupid. Okay. And the cooldown is less. The cooldown's only 30 seconds. Holy crap. That's good. That's too good. Don't use Great Guardian Helmet. Don't use it. That's busted. That is busted. The Royal Helmet. Now, the Royal Helmet is the meme stun. It drops a barrel from the sky, which stuns the target at max spec and max 8.3. Holy crap, this thing stuns forever, dude. Combine that with Hunter Shoes and that Leering Cane, and man, you got a big, beefy stun. You can stun. Mostly Dagger users use this to stun a player after they've already stunned them, to hold them down while they just slice them up. Graveguard Helmet is used in arenas and in group dungeons as a backup heal for tanks, basically. Well, the healer wears it. They're healing the tank. The Demon Helmet silences the player. This is mostly used for like bursty builds like bolt casters. It's also used for spears, claws, any kind of like one shot or quick kill build. Judicator Helmet is an AoE stun, which is used in Zerg vs. Zergs mostly because it's a really big circle, but it's a really tiny little baby stun. The Helmet of Valor I've seen people use it. It's basically a better purge. Pretty sure this is the purge one, isn't it? Isn't it the purge one? Yeah, this one is just a better way to purge. Which, hey, purges are good. Now, the soldier armor is used for tanks that want to also deal big damage. So if you're a great hammer user, you would use this to smash someone for like 1,800 damage. It's pretty cool. The knight armor is used for wind wall. It makes a wall that pushes people around. That's basically it. That's all, the only reason you would really use this. People use it all the time for Zerg versus Zerg and ganking and control sets. Like, you'll see a claw user with this so they can pin people against the wall and stuff. Guardian armor, what does that one do again? What is that one? That one just makes people do less damage. I haven't seen it used in Zerg versus Zerg. I haven't seen it used in an arena. It's whatever, man. Maybe it's used in PvE. I don't think so. Royal armor. This is the... Isn't this the counter? No, this is the energy drain. This thing sucks. I've never seen it used. I've even tried so many, like, builds to make this thing work, and nothing is good with it, so it's just trash. Like, level that one up last. Graveguard armor is used if you want to yoink someone. This thing is used with spears so that you can grab someone in a Zerg versus Zerg and yoink them all the way to your side and then hold them down while they try to run away. Demon armor is used to reveal stealth units so they don't sneak up into your backline and then use a Galatine pair to kill everybody. That's about really it. Judicator armor is used in PvE and Zerg vs. Zerg to drop down a shield so everyone can enjoy the higher resistance. And the Armor of Valor is mostly used to kill anyone that uses thorns instantaneously with this ability, which will reflect damage. And what happens is when you use this and they have thorns, it creates this infinitely chaining reflect sequence where they just immediately die. And that's the whole point of Armor of Valor there. Soldier Boots is used to chase people. It's used to gank and run away from people. It's used to quickly traverse an area. Soldier Boots are very highly valued. It's used in speedrunning the Expedition daily. Knight Boots put a shield on you and some allies. It's great in PvE and hardcore expeditions. Guardian Boots are used mostly in 1v1s like Corrupted Dungeons. I personally use Guardian Boots to farm group dungeons as a solo because it makes you pretty much... Mathematically, you don't really take damage. You take like half as much damage-ish when you have it active. Royal Boots, I've never seen anyone use this fucking garbage. This is like the worst fucking boot ever. It's so stupid. It doesn't give you that much resist. It makes you slow as fuck. It's a complete waste of... It's like one of the worst items in the game. And I'm sure there might be someone out there with some niche use for it, but these boots are garbage. They are trash. They are absolutely stupid. Here's what they do. You slowly do an anime run, and then you get a shield. Wow. That's it. Look at that. It's almost gone. Holy crap. And then it gives you a slight run boost. That's it. That's all it does. It's absolute... Just, it's a dookie item. It's just made of pure poo-poo. Okay? Alright, so the Graveguard boots. What do these fucking do again? What do you do again? Makes you immune to movement impairing effects, but there's better boots that do that. I've never really seen anyone bother with those. Demon boots are great if you want to escape. That's pretty much it. They have a small use in PvE that if you're low on health on certain encounters, they will boost your DPS to kill the boss before you die. But it's so far and few in between, and you shouldn't be wearing plate if you're a DPS anyway. This is purely used to run away when you are about to die, and that is it. Judicator boots are really cool. You charge an area and you pop everyone into the air. It's pretty useful for Zerg versus Zerg. It's really fun in like group arena fights and stuff. Boots of Valor, what do these guys do again? I just need a refresher. I haven't played in a while. Oh yeah, these are, if you think you're going to get crowd controlled, you use them and it acts as a pre-purge or a pre-cleanse. That's pretty much it. The Mercenary Hood is a cleanse weapon. If you are afraid of stuns or crowd controls, then you would use this to get out of them. The Hunter Hood is one of the most highly used PvP helmets in the game. Highly recommended. You push the reflect button and the enemy kills themselves, but also the reflect doubles as a damage reducing, or it raises your resistance, so you take less damage. So it's got like two bonuses to it. It's also a button that you would push for a more experienced player who will then stop attacking you for like 4 or 5 seconds. The Assassin Hood is used in meme builds to reset your cooldown so you can immediately attack with them again. Mostly Blackhand users use the Assassin Hood in 1v1 corrupted dungeons. The Royal Hood is a meme item that's used mostly in crossbow one-shot builds and a few other high DPS builds, mostly hardcore expeditions, but other than that, they don't have much of a use. The Stalker Hood is used to reveal stealth. It's used for more damage in PvE. It's used for more damage in PvP. It's one of my favorite helmets. I really like the Stalker Hood. It's really cool. Hellion Hood. Hellion Hood. Is this the silence one? Oh, this is the smoke bomb one. This one is used for bow users. Bow users can enchant their bow and then they can hide in a smoke bomb. And what the smoke bomb does is it puts you into stealth, and then the enemy can't target you unless they have an AoE attack, but if they stand in the smoke, they're silenced. You are also silenced, but because bow is an enchantment, you can still auto-attack, which means you can still kill everybody. So, Hellion Hood is very troll. It's very annoying to fight against. If you're new to the game and your opponent disappears and your life suddenly disappears, then that's what happened. The Spectre Hood is used to reset your cooldowns. This is probably one of the most expensive helmets in the game now. You can thank a certain YouTuber named SwoleBenji for that one. And it's greatly used in PvE, PvP, Zerg vs. Zerg. It's used everywhere. It's good to have these on hand. Whoever specialized in crafting these dang things made so much bank, man. They're the big OGs in the crafting world. But a tenacity. Isn't this a cleanse? Is it cleanse? No, it's a heal reduction. I've never seen anyone use it, really. Might be cool. Maybe someone can invent a new build with the Hood of Tenacity. I'm not going to do it because I don't really play this game anymore. And the Mercenary Jacket is used by many gankers, many YouTubers. It's kind of a crowd favorite, really. It's used in PvE for newbies. It's used in PvP. It's used all over the place. It's a really good starter item to have. It just it lets you heal whenever you do damage. Hunter Jacket is mostly used by Dagger players and some Trinity Spear players so that they can attack faster. All it does is enhance your auto attack. That's really it. Assassin Jacket is used for invisibility, so you can skip around. You can de-aggro mobs. You can charge up one single attack. Warbow users really love this thing. This thing is a lot of fun to use with Warbow. The Royal Jacket is mostly used in PvE encounters, but it can also be used in Zerg vs. Zerg, which I have seen many times. It just lowers the cooldowns of you and everyone that's standing in your circle. Stalker Jacket is mostly used by newer players so that they can do PvE faster, but I've also seen people use it in PvP. It's pretty good. The Hellion Jacket is one of my favorite group dungeon diving items. It's also my favorite group solo dungeon items. This thing is just a big old aura that sucks the life out of enemies and gives it to you. So it deals damage and it heals you. It's got two purposes. It's really good. One of my favorite armors in the game. It's used pretty much everywhere. The Spectre Jacket is another one of my favorites. This thing is used in PvE. It's used in hardcore expeditions. It's used in PvP. It's used all over the place. It's very well, adored. It's also kind of expensive. The Jacket of Tenacity, what do you do again? You are the weird one where, depending on what you're targeting, is what you use. I've never seen this used in arenas. I've never seen it used in Corrupteds. I haven't seen it used anywhere. So maybe someone can find a use for the Jacket of Tenacity. It's not really used anywhere. People just level up because they have to. Mercenary Shoes make you go invisible, and then after a little bit of charging, you can then sprint a little bit. This is mostly used by Warbow users so they can go invisible and kind of wait on their cooldowns. It's pretty useful in PvP. It's useful in skip sets, sort of, to de-aggro mobs. That's pretty much it. The Hunter Shoes are used in meme sets that rely on crowd control. It is used mostly by Dagger players, Hammer players, stuff like that. It also has a hidden use with the Quarterstaffs, but I'm not going to reveal that one. Assassin Shoes are probably the most used leather shoes. They give you a slight quick immunity. They make you do a really quick roll. It's kind of like how Dark Souls players roll everywhere. That's what these do. They let you do a roll, and you can take no damage. So if you're about to get curse exploded, you just do a little roll, and you will be immune to it, and you are absolutely good and still alive. Royal Shoes, what do these guys do? It's kind of like the Assassin Shoes, but you jump instead of roll, and it's not as good. It's just a shittier version of Assassin Shoes that cost like 10 times more. The Stalker Shoes are the ones that teleport you forward. Yes, they teleport you forward, and they give you 15% more damage. So it's pretty cool. I'm not really sure why casters don't use this more. I think it's because the teleport has a longer cooldown and a shorter range. The Hellion shoes are my favorite boots in the game. They turn you invisible for 2 seconds, and then they teleport you on top of the enemy. And it also increases the damage you deal by 35%. Like, what's not to love? That's insane. That's really good. These are my all-around favorite boots. They're used in ganking. They're used in PvE. They're used in PvP. They're used in Zerg versus Zerg. They're used everywhere. They're also expensive. The Shoes of Tenacity are mostly used by warbow users or other ranged kind of attackers. And what they do is they let you go invisible, and then when you attack with your next ability, you deal extra damage. They're really good, and they're really short on cooldown. If you want to disappear a bunch, these are the boots for you. The Scholar Cowl is mostly used in PvE as a newbie item to sustain your mana. I also use them in group dungeons, so I can be tankier. I also use them in arena, so I can be tankier, and they're just really, really good. It's a really good cloth helmet to use. Cleric Cowl is mostly used by bow users in arena, so that people will leave them alone and stop focusing them. It can also be used in PvE for a few, like, raid encounters. The Mage Cowl is used mostly by gankers looking for a cheap item to deal just a bit more extra damage to get that killer to dismount a player. That's pretty much it. I don't really see it in arena. I don't see it in Zerg vs. Zerg. I just see it on gankers. That's it. The Royal Cowl is used by PvE players that are also casters. It's pretty much used if you're a Froststaff player. If you use Froststaffs and you're not ganking, you would use this helmet so you don't run out of mana when you spam spells. That's essentially it. The Druid Cowl is used in group dungeon PvE encounters mostly, some hardcore expedition to keep everyone's mana up without them having to rest or wait. The Fiend Cowl is a purge helmet that is used by gankers. It's used in arenas, and that's pretty much it. I haven't really seen it used in Zerg vs. Zerg. I mean, you could. It's only one target. The Cultist Cowl is kind of like the Mage Cowl, a little more expensive. It puts a dot on the enemy, and when they use an ability or attack, then they take some damage. It's used in Corrupted Dungeons to kill bosses faster. It's used mostly in Corrupted Dungeons. I haven't really seen it used elsewhere. I've seen it used a few times in dungeon diving like groups, but other than that, not really. Cowl of Purity is the laser beam helmet. It just does damage, and I think it removes debuffs, or it does something else. It interrupts casting. I mean, I've never seen this used in Zerg vs. Zerg. It's also insanely expensive. I don't really know where else it would be used. Oh, I've seen it used in Hellgates. It's an alright Hellgate weapon, I guess. Scholar's Robe is mostly used by Frost Mages, so they can cast faster. That's pretty much it. You can also use it as a crossbow user, but crossbows, spoiler alert, if you use the knockback arrow attack and you land it, then your E is fast casted regardless. Cleric Robe is one of the most used armors in PvE, PvP, Hardcore Expedition, etc. It makes you basically immune and you deal more damage. What's not to love about that? The Mage Robe is a purge item that is used in arenas. It's used by gankers. It's used in Corrupted Dungeons. All around a really good weapon. The Royal Robe is used in Hardcore Expeditions sometimes. Most people use Druid Robe instead, but this does see some action there. I haven't seen it anywhere else. The Druid Robe is your go-to armor if you're a healer, if you're a damage dealer. Basically, everyone that's not a tank in a PvE or a group dungeon situation. Your healers will be using this. Your DPS will be using this. If you've read any of my guides about solo clearing dungeons as fast as possible, you will be using this too. The Fiend Robe is mostly used by gankers so that they can chain fear you and keep you crowd controlled by running into you with this thing activated. It's pretty much used to kill transports. You see it a lot sometimes in organized Zerg vs. Zergs. The Cultist Robe is used in PvE. It's used in like Corrupted Dungeons, 1v1s. You see it a lot in Hellgates. I see a lot of Cultist Robes in Hellgates. Robe of Purity is used mostly in arenas and mostly by healers to boop people off of points in arena. I've also seen some used in Zerg vs. Zerg. I've seen it used by gankers to crowd control people into red zones that are AFK. The Scholar Sandals are used to maintain your mana in Corrupted Dungeons. I haven't really seen it used much else anywhere else. Cleric sandals are used by mostly Froststaff users so that they can get another teleport, and a big one at that. Mage sandals, is this the delayed teleport one? Yes, it is. This is used by spear users so that they can chunk a spear, delay teleport away onto a trap, and there's a whole bunch of meme builds that allow this to be used. Delayed teleport also lets you juke people while you cast. It's got some use, not a lot. The royal sandals are used by the meme crossbow builds. They're used by PvE players, they're used by hardcore expedition players, and they're used by some Zerg versus Zerg players. These things are just mainly here to do Nugget Fury. It's just there to boost your damage. The Druid sandals, I have tried so hard to find a good use for these. They leave a little frosty trail on the ground. I mean, if someone wants to invent a cool build with Druid sandals, be my guest, because I haven't figured one out. Fiend sandals are very underrated. These things, oh no, these are the position swap boots. Okay, so I've only ever seen like a few uses for this. There's Arena, of course, but in Corrupted Dungeons, if you're a Fire Staff user, you plop down a firewall into a corner, and then you use position swap, and now your enemy is trapped in a corner, and he can't escape because there is a firewall in front of him. Very fun boots. The Cultist sandals are what I was thinking of. These leave a corrupted ground that lowers the enemy's resistances and reduces their healing. Now, when I've done plenty of damage tests, this thing rivals the damage of Hellion Shoes. It's just really hard to run up to someone and then combo them. Like, if you're running away from someone and you use this and they step on it and you turn around and blow them up, I think that might be really cool. But I've never seen it used anywhere. I've not seen it used in PvE, PvP, hardcore expeditions, Zerg versus Zerg. Nowhere. The Sandals of Purity are probably one of the best move speed boots in the game for just consistency. They have an extremely short cooldown. They increase your speed by 50%. And you can't be slowed or rooted. So these things are really good against Tomb Hammer. They're good against... They're mostly for PvE and Corrupted Dungeons. I have seen them in Zerg versus Zerg and... in group dungeons. They're just really good boots, but they're kind of expensive. All the purity items are really the Apollonian stuff. They're just really pricey. Alright, of course, now we got capes, guys. I know this is a long video, but we're hitting them all, okay? The Bridgewatch cape is used by gankers to slow you down. One of the gankers will always be wearing one of these so that they can hit you with a ranged attack, and then you can't really run away for a short bit. The Fort Sterling cape is used by gatherers sometimes, so that if they get crowd controlled by the gankers, they can immune themselves from one of them. Limhurst cape is what I advise new players use for their mana problems if they want to spam abilities and learn how the game works. Other than that, it doesn't have much of a use, because there's other items that are better. The Martlock cape is used in Zerg vs. Zerg so that you don't take as much damage from one-shotting attacks. The Thedford cape is used primarily by everyone everywhere in every situation. It's used in PvP, PvE. This is the go-to cape for most things. The Heretic cape, I've never seen anyone seriously use this, but for meme builds, it does drop a trap. It's pretty cool. I fooled around with it. The most I could trap someone was for like 10 or 15 seconds. The Undead cape is used by rats. Remember that bear paw thing I talked about, how you go into the corrupt dungeons? This is the cape that you would use because it turns you invisible so you can run away. The Keeper cape is one of my favorite capes because it makes you do a whole bunch of damage once you've taken a bunch of damage. So you can literally melt people when this thing is active. It's so fun to use, and it really catches people by surprise. Morgana cape is used mostly by Froststaff users so that they can cast faster, but also Firestaff users tend to use it as well. Demon cape is used by gankers. It's used by PvE players, PvP players. This thing is as much used as the Thetford cape. It does rely on people standing in the lava pool, and it has a long cooldown, so I don't really like using it that much, but people really love using it. So that's all the equipped items. I'm not going over food. I'm not going over potions. Okay, guys? This is just about armor and weapons and stuff. So that's all there is to it. This guy looks like an absolute baller. Check him out. Nugget Fury. Anyway, I'm SwoleBenji. Thanks for watching. Be a bro and stay swole. Make sure you return your shopping carts. And I will see you in the next one. I'm sorry that this video was so long. But I literally motor mouthed the whole video, okay, guys? So I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? Take care. I'm trying to make this right before what? Nah, I'm just gonna end it now.